Step into a world where dreams come alive and every heart has a place to belong. Join the Goo Goo Girls on their magical adventure to restore peace and dreams, and don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring the bell for more enchanting tales. This is Goo Goo Girlz and the Dreamcatchers Promise. In the peaceful town of Willowbrook, where the scent of jasmine floated through the air and the sun painted the sky a soft gold each evening, lived two sisters, Goo Goo Girl and Goo Goo Gaby. Their summers were always spent at Mama Tilda's house, a creaky, charming home nestled at the edge of a quiet forest. Mama Tilda, with her grey hair wrapped in a colourful scarf and glasses always perched on the tip of her nose, was the heart and soul of their family. She would fill their days with stories, tales of magic, family and dreams that seemed to come alive in the flicker of the fireplace. Though the house was filled with mystery, the sisters loved it. Every room had its own secrets, each corner bursting with memories. But this summer felt different. Mama Tilda was quieter than usual, as though there was something hidden just beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered. One afternoon, with the sun warming the wooden floors, Goo Goo Girl and Goo Goo Gaby decided to explore the attic. The stairs creaked beneath their feet, each step a soft whisper of the past. The attic was dusty and filled with old trunks, forgotten books, and wooden boxes stacked high. As they pushed through the cobwebs, Goo Goo Girl's eyes caught sight of something faintly glowing on the far side of the room. "Look, Gaby," she whispered, pointing toward an old wooden box resting on a shelf. It shimmered as though it was alive, emitting a soft golden light. Curious, Goo Goo Gaby followed her sister over to the box. They had seen many mysterious things in Mama Tilda's house, but this was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Goo Goo Girl gently lifted the lid, revealing a small dream catcher with feathers that glowed with a soft lavender light. The beads and strings hummed faintly, like the sound of distant music. "Is this magic?" Goo Goo Gaby asked, her voice a mix of excitement and hesitation. She had always been the more skeptical one, preferring logic over fantasy, but something about the dream catcher called to her. Before Goo Goo Girl could respond, a sudden gust of wind swept through the attic. The air grew thick with magic, and in the blink of an eye, the world around them shifted. The dusty walls of the attic melted into a shimmering landscape of light and mist, and the girls found themselves standing in a dreamscape. This was no ordinary place. The sky above was alive with glowing stars, and soft clouds drifted lazily through the air. The ground beneath their feet was made of luminous sand, and strange creatures, half light and half shadow, floated by, humming softly. "What? Where are we?" Goo Goo Gaby gasped, spinning around in confusion. "This is the world of dreams," a soft, melodic voice answered. The girls turned to see a figure, tall and regal, draped in robes that seemed woven from the midnight sky. Her hair glimmered like starlight, and her eyes shone with ancient wisdom. "I am the keeper of forgotten dreams," she said, her voice full of both sadness and hope. "And you, Goo Goo Girls, have awakened the Dreamcatcher's promise." The girls stared at her in awe. "The Dreamcatcher's promise?" Goo Goo Girl asked, her voice full of wonder. "The Dreamcatcher," the keeper continued, "is a sacred artifact, one that protects the dreams of children who are forgotten by the world. Their dreams have been lost in the darkness, and without them, these children are trapped, unable to find their way back to the waking world." The keeper's gaze grew solemn. "I have brought you here because only those with hearts full of compassion and kindness can restore the forgotten dreams. The Dreamcatcher has chosen you. You must bring these dreams back to life, for without them, the world will lose its hope." Goo Goo Girl and Goo Goo Gaby exchanged uncertain glances. This was no ordinary adventure. They had been chosen to help the forgotten dreams of children, and that meant they had a responsibility they had never expected. But they also knew that their hearts were full of compassion. Together, they would find a way. "How do we help?" Goo Goo Gaby asked, her voice steady but full of curiosity. The keeper handed them a glowing scroll. "This will guide you. Follow it, and it will show you where to go next." With the scroll in hand, the girls felt a wave of determination wash over them. They could do this. They would help the forgotten dreams. As they ventured further into the dreamscape, the girls encountered floating orbs of light. Each orb represented a dream, dreams of children who had been neglected, forgotten, or rejected by the world. The orbs flickered faintly, as though struggling to stay lit. They were the lost dreams of children who had been cast aside, left behind in the darkness. Their first encounter was with a small orb that barely glowed. It seemed sad and distant, as if it had been lost for a long time. As they approached, the orb shimmered and flickered, almost as though it was trying to speak. "I was forgotten," the dream whispered, its voice fragile. "No one remembers me. I was never good enough." Goo Goo Girl stepped forward, her heart swelling with compassion. She held out her hand toward the orb, her voice soft. You are important. You matter. We see you. Goo Goo Gaby knelt beside her sister, her voice steady and kind. We believe in you. You belong. Don't ever think you're not enough. The orb wavered, its glow growing stronger with each word. Slowly, its light brightened, and the sadness that had weighed it down began to lift. The dream, now fully revived, soared into the sky, bursting with new life. The keeper's voice echoed through their minds. You have done well. You have given this dream new life. But there are many more to find. And so, the girls continued their journey, helping each dream they encountered. There was a dream of a girl who had been ignored, a dream of a boy who had been bullied, and a dream of a child who felt invisible. With each one, the girls used their kindness, their belief, and their words of encouragement to bring the dreams back to life. The dreamscape began to glow brighter, and the once dim orbs now shone with the brilliance of hope. But as they wandered deeper into this world, the air grew colder. A sense of unease crept in as they noticed the dreams flickering less and less. The once vibrant light of the dreamscape was dimming, as though something was draining the energy from the very land. And then they saw it, a swirling mass of darkness, vast and consuming. It loomed over them like a storm cloud, its tendrils of shadow stretching out, snuffing out the light from the dreams they had just saved. This is the void, the keeper's voice warned. It is the force that steals dreams, the darkness that feeds on the forgotten. If left unchecked, it will swallow every dream, every hope. The girls stood their ground, but the weight of the void's presence was suffocating. The dreams they had saved now flickered dangerously, and their confidence wavered. Could they really defeat this darkness? Was their kindness and belief enough to push back against the void? The darkness whispered to them, 1,000 voices all at once, each one filled with doubt, rejection, and sorrow. You can't save them, the void hissed. These dreams are worthless. They were never meant to be. You will fail. You will never bring them back. Goo Goo Girl trembled, the weight of the void's words pressing heavily on her. She had always believed in the power of kindness, but now, standing face to face with the dark force that threatened to undo everything, she wasn't so sure. Beside her, Goo Goo Gaby's eyes widened in fear, but there was something else there too, a spark of defiance. She grabbed her sister's hand and gave it a reassuring squeeze. We can do this, she said, her voice trembling but resolute. We have to believe in them, all of them. Goo Goo Girl nodded, feeling her sister's strength lift her. They had faced challenges before, but this was different. This wasn't just about saving dreams, it was about saving hope and about showing that no one, no dream, should ever be forgotten. Together, they raised the dreamcatcher high above their heads, its glowing feathers shimmering with a light that pushed back the shadows. The void recoiled, its form flickering like a candle caught in the wind. We believe, Goo Goo Girl shouted. We believe in every dream, and we will not let you take them. The light from the dreamcatcher grew brighter, more powerful, until it enveloped the void in a brilliant burst. The darkness screamed, its form dissolving into mist, until nothing was left but a calm, peaceful silence. The dreamscape had been saved. The keeper appeared before them, her face full of pride and gratitude. You have done what no one else could, she said. You have restored hope, not just for these dreams, but for the children who will remember that they too belong. And then, just as quickly as they had arrived, the world around them began to shift. The mist and light swirled, and the girls found themselves back in Mama Tilda's attic, the dreamcatcher now resting gently in their hands. Mama Tilda stood at the attic door, smiling softly as they returned. Did you find what you were looking for? She asked, her eyes sparkling with knowing. Goo Goo Girl and Goo Goo Gaby exchanged a look of wonder, their hearts full of the lessons they had learned. We did, Goo Goo Girl said, her voice quiet but full of confidence. We found a world where dreams belong, and so do we. From that day forward, they knew that no matter what, they would always find their way back to the light, because no dream, no matter how forgotten, was ever truly lost. As the last words of the keeper echoed in their minds, Goo Goo Girl and Goo Goo Gaby felt a deep sense of peace settle in their hearts. They were back in Mama Tilda's attic, the flickering candlelight casting gentle shadows across the room. The dreamcatcher rested quietly in their hands, its feathers still glowing faintly with the remnants of the magic they had awakened. Mama Tilda stood in the doorway, watching them with a smile that seemed to hold centuries of wisdom. Did you find what you were looking for? She asked, her voice full of understanding. Goo Goo Girl looked up at her grandmother, her heart swelling with a feeling she couldn't quite put into words. We did, she said softly. We found a world where dreams belong, and so do we. Goo Goo Gaby nodded, a sense of calm washing over her. She had always been the more practical one, the one who questioned and doubted. But after what they had experienced, she knew that magic wasn't just about spells or enchanted objects. It was about the power of believing in each other. other, in kindness, in compassion. Mama Tilda's eyes twinkled as she stepped into the attic, closing the door behind her. "And what have you learned, my dears?" she asked as she perched herself on the old rocking chair. Goo Goo Girl sat cross-legged on the floor, gently cradling the dreamcatcher in her hands. "I think we learned that everyone belongs, no matter who they are or where they come from. It's not about being perfect or being seen by everyone. It's about knowing that we matter and that someone believes in us." Goo Goo Gaby smiled. "I used to think that dreams were just, well, dreams, things that were fun to imagine but couldn't really help anyone. But now I know that every dream, every wish, has a purpose. And sometimes, all it takes to restore a dream is someone who believes in it." Mama Tilda nodded, a proud smile spreading across her face. "Exactly. And sometimes, the most magical thing we can do in this world is simply believe, in others and in ourselves." She paused, looking down at the dreamcatcher. This was never just a gift. It was a legacy of kindness, compassion, and the understanding that every dream, no matter how small or forgotten, deserves to be brought to life. As the words hung in the air, the dreamcatcher began to glow a little brighter, and for a moment, it felt as though the entire room was bathed in light. Goo Goo Girl and Goo Goo Gaby glanced at each other, feeling something new stir within them, something both comforting and empowering. From that moment on, things were different. The world of dreams had opened up to them, and they knew that no dream, no matter how lost or forgotten, was too far beyond reach. Whether it was the little girl who felt invisible in her class, the boy who had no one to play with, or the forgotten dream of a child who had been told their voice didn't matter, Goo Goo Girl and Goo Goo Gaby knew they had the power to restore it. And so, they began their work as dream keepers. With the dreamcatcher as their guide, they travelled through the realms of dreams, finding lost hopes and desires, breathing life back into the forgotten wishes of children all over the world. Every time they touched a dream, every time they reminded someone that they mattered, the dreamcatcher would glow brighter. But the journey wasn't always easy. There were times when the darkness of the void would creep back, threatening to steal the light they had rekindled. The whispers of doubt would return, urging them to give up, to believe that it was impossible to save every dream. But Goo Goo Girl and Goo Goo Gaby stood firm. They had learned the most important lesson of all, that as long as they believed, the dreams would always have a chance. One day, as they stood in the middle of a park, watching a group of children play, Goo Goo Gaby turned to her sister, her voice filled with quiet realization. "You know," she said, "it's not just about saving lost dreams. It's about making sure that no dream ever feels like it's forgotten in the first place. That's the true magic, making people feel like they belong." Goo Goo Girl nodded, smiling softly. "Yeah, it's about making sure everyone knows that they matter, just as they are. Every voice, every heart, every dream." And so, the Goo Goo Girls continued to weave their magic, not through spells or enchantments, but through their words, their actions, and their belief in others. They taught those they met that kindness was the truest form of magic, and that every single person, no matter how lost they might feel, deserved to be seen, to be heard, and to be loved. One evening, as they sat in Mama Tilda's house, the two sisters stared out the window at the twinkling stars above. The dreamcatcher hung gently by the fireplace, its glow soft and steady. "Mama Tilda," Goo Goo Girl said, looking up at her grandmother with gratitude in her eyes, "do you think we'll ever run out of dreams to save?" Mama Tilda chuckled, the warmth of her laugh filling the room. "Oh, my dears, there are always dreams to be saved. There are always children who need to know they matter. The world will always need people like you, people who believe in each other, who lift others up with kindness and compassion." Goo Goo Gaby thought for a moment, her eyes thoughtful. "I think that's why the dreamcatcher chose us. It knew we could do this. We don't just restore dreams, we help make the world a place where everyone can believe in themselves." Mama Tilda's smile deepened as she took both girls' hands in hers. "That's the most beautiful truth of all. You see, my loves, you've already changed the world, one dream at a time, and you always will." As they sat together, the girls felt the weight of their journey settle comfortably into their hearts. They knew that their mission wasn't finished. There would always be more dreams, more children who needed them, but as long as they believed, they would never stop. The dreamcatcher had shown them the way, and they would walk it together forever. The glowing light of the dreamcatcher shimmered softly in the corner, a reminder that no matter how dark things might get, there would always be hope. And that hope, just like the dreams they had saved, would never fade. And so, the Goo Goo Girls continued their work, bringing light to the lost, restoring hope to the forgotten, and reminding the world that everyone belongs, as long as someone believes in them. Remember, kindness and compassion are the keys to bringing light into even the darkest of places. If this story touched your heart, be sure to like and share it with your friends, and stay tuned for more uplifting adventures that remind us all of the power of believing in one another.
Goo Goo Girls!
Ready to step into a world where lanterns glow with magic and every twist leads you closer to home? Don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring the bell for more enchanting journeys. Welcome to today's tale, Goo Goo Girl and the Lanterns of Lost Woods. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the small village in hues of orange and purple. In a cozy little cottage at the edge of the village, two sisters sat by the window. Goo Goo Girl, the older sister, was busy tinkering with one of her many inventions at her cluttered workbench. Her glowing pink hair illuminated the tools scattered around her, from tiny gears to glowing crystals. Meanwhile, her younger sister, Gaby Girl, lay on the floor, her notebook open as she sketched pictures of magical forests and wrote about brave adventurers. Their mother's voice echoed from the kitchen. "Dinner's ready!" Gaby Girl set her notebook aside, but something outside the window caught her eye. A faint golden light flickered in the distance near the forest. She stood up, leaning closer to get a better look. Another light appeared, and then another, forming a trail of glowing lanterns leading into the trees. "Sis, you have to see this!" she called, running to Goo Goo Girl. "What is it this time?" Goo Goo Girl asked, pushing her goggles up onto her forehead. Gaby Girl dragged her to the window, and they stared at the glowing lights. The lanterns flickered like fireflies, leading deeper into the woods. "It looks magical," Gaby Girl said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "We should follow them." "The Lost Woods?" Goo Goo Girl asked skeptically. "Everyone says they're dangerous. People who go in don't always come out." "What if it's an adventure?" Gaby Girl argued, grabbing her sister's hand. "Come on, you've got your inventions. We'll be fine." After a long pause, Goo Goo Girl sighed and began packing a small bag with her gadgets, including her latest creation, the glow tracker, a small orb that lit up in the presence of danger. Together, they stepped into the cool night air, holding hands as they followed the glowing lanterns. The woods were unlike anything they had ever seen. The trees were impossibly tall, their bark etched with glowing patterns that seemed to pulse like heartbeats. Strange flowers glimmered in shades of blue and purple, and the air smelled sweet, like honey mixed with pine. Gaby Girl twirled in awe, her imagination running wild. "This is like one of my stories!" she exclaimed. They followed the lanterns to a clearing, where an ornate lantern sat on a pedestal. Its glass shimmered with swirling light, and as they approached, it spoke. "Welcome, travelers." The sisters jumped, clutching each other. "I am the keeper of the Lost Woods," the lantern continued, its voice soft and melodic. "To find your way home, you must reclaim the lanterns that hold your memories. Each lantern represents a piece of your heart, your fears, your strengths, your past. Only by gathering them will you light the path home." The sisters exchanged nervous glances, but Gaby Girl's curiosity outweighed her fear. "We'll do it," she said, her voice steady. The lantern emitted a soft glow, and suddenly a map appeared in their minds, showing a path through the forest marked with glowing dots where the lanterns waited. With the keeper's words echoing in their ears, they set off on their quest. Their first destination was a maze of mirrors. The paths twisted and turned, and each mirror reflected distorted images of the sisters. Gaby Girl's head appeared comically large in one, while Goo Goo Girl's glowing hair stretched to the sky in another. At first, they laughed, but as they ventured deeper, the reflections changed. Now the mirrors showed fears and insecurities. Goo Goo Girl saw herself failing to fix an invention, her hands trembling with frustration. Gaby Girl saw herself standing alone, her notebook torn to pieces. The laughter from the mirrors grew louder, harsh and mocking. Gaby Girl covered her ears, tears welling in her eyes. "What if it's true?" she whispered. "It's not," Goo Goo Girl said firmly, kneeling beside her. "These mirrors are trying to scare us, but they don't define us." Goo Goo Girl stood and faced the mirrors, laughing at her distorted reflection. Her laughter was loud and confident, drowning out the mocking echoes. Gaby Girl hesitated, then joined in, her giggles growing stronger. As their laughter filled the maze, the mirrors began to crack and shatter. The harsh voices faded, replaced by a soft hum. In the center of the maze, a glowing lantern appeared, floating gently in the air. When Gaby Girl touched it, a memory unfolded before them, a time when they had built a treehouse together as children. They laughed and worked side by side, their bond as unbreakable then as it was now. The lantern floated into Goo Goo Girl's hands, its light merging with the glow of her hair. They left the maze, feeling a little braver. Their next stop was a shimmering lake surrounded by silver grass. The water glowed faintly, as if it held the stars, but as they approached, the surface rippled, and from it rose shimmering figures, exact replicas of the sisters, except for their glowing silver eyes. "Help us," one of the reflections called, mimicking Gaby Girl's voice. "We're trapped." The sisters froze, clutching each other. The reflections stepped onto the shore, their movements eerily synchronized with the real girls. Gaby Girl's grip tightened on her sister's hand. What if they're real? They're not, Goo Goo Girl said, her glow tracker buzzing faintly in her pocket. Trust me. But the reflections grew louder, their voices blending into a haunting chant. Gaby Girl closed her eyes, trying to block out the noise. Instead of listening to the reflections, she focused on her instincts, letting her heart guide her. Slowly, she opened her eyes and pointed to one of the figures. That one, it's the lantern. The chosen reflection dissolved into mist, revealing a glowing lantern. When Gaby Girl touched it, another memory unfolded. A time when Goo Goo Girl had found her after she got lost in the woods. The memory was warm and comforting, reminding them both of their unshakable bond. They continued on, the forest growing darker and the challenges more intense. Their path led them to a massive tree in a glowing clearing, its bark covered in swirling patterns. As they approached, the tree's branches shifted, forming a face that stared down at them. To claim the lantern, you must speak your truths, the tree said. What do you fear most? Gaby Girl stepped forward first. I'm scared of being forgotten, she admitted, her voice trembling. I'm scared I'll never be as brave or as smart as my sister. Goo Goo Girl's eyes widened in surprise. Gaby, you're braver than you think. The tree turned its glowing eyes to Goo Goo Girl. She hesitated, then took a deep breath. I'm afraid of failing, she said quietly. I feel like I have to fix everything, like I have to protect Gaby and be perfect all the time. But I'm not perfect, and that scares me. The tree was silent for a moment, then a lantern appeared among its branches. When they touched it, a memory unfolded. A moment when they had comforted each other after a fight, sharing their fears and dreams under their favorite tree. The final lantern awaited them at the heart of the forest. The keeper appeared, its form shifting between light and shadow. You have done well, it said. But one challenge remains. This lantern can only be carried by one of you. Choose wisely. The sisters argued, each insisting the other should carry it. But as their voices grew louder, the lantern's glow began to dim. Realizing their mistake, they stopped and held hands. What if we carried it together? Gaby Girl asked. Goo Goo Girl nodded, and together they lifted the lantern. Its light grew brighter, filling the forest with golden warmth. The keeper smiled, its voice soft. Your bond has proven stronger than any test. You may go home. The lanterns rose into the air, forming a glowing path that led them out of the forest. As the sisters stepped into the soft light of dawn, their parents ran to meet them, tears of relief in their eyes. That night, they hung a lantern in their treehouse, its glow a reminder of their journey. Goo Goo Girl returned to her inventions with renewed confidence, while Gaby Girl wrote stories inspired by their adventure. Though the forest loomed at the edge of their village, its mysteries waiting, they knew they could face anything together. As they drifted to sleep, a faint glow appeared at the forest's edge. The lanterns flickered, as if bidding them farewell, or inviting them back someday. As the morning sun warmed the village, the sisters woke to the soft glow of the lantern they had hung in their treehouse. Its light wasn't just a reminder of their adventure, but seemed to carry with it a subtle hum, as though the forest still whispered to them. Gaby Girl stretched and looked out of the window at the woods in the distance, her notebook open on her lap. She began sketching the lanterns, her pencil moving rapidly as the scenes of their journey replayed in her mind. Goo Goo Girl sat beside her at the breakfast table, twisting a gear in her hands. She was working on a new project, something inspired by the challenges they had faced. You know, Goo Goo Girl said, her voice thoughtful, I think that forest gave us more than just memories. It reminded me that even when things break, you don't have to fix them alone. Gaby Girl grinned. And it reminded me that I can be brave, even when I'm scared. Their parents, listening nearby, exchanged glances. They had heard snippets of the girls' adventure during the tearful reunion the previous night, but still couldn't quite believe the stories about a talking tree and glowing lanterns. You two have always had the wildest imaginations, their mother said, pouring syrup over pancakes. But if those lanterns helped you grow closer, I'm grateful for them. Later that afternoon, the sisters ventured to their treehouse to decorate it with trinkets from their journey. Gaby Girl tied ribbons to the lantern, while Goo Goo Girl hung small crystal lights she had made, mimicking the glow of the magical forest. Do you think anyone else will ever find the lost woods? Gaby Girl asked. Maybe, Goo Goo Girl replied, climbing down from the treehouse. But I think the forest only appears to those who need it, like us. As the weeks passed, the sisters found themselves stronger and more confident in their daily lives. Gaby Girl, inspired by the lessons of their journey, started sharing her stories with the other children in the village. She hosted storytelling sessions under the big oak tree, weaving tales of bravery and magic that left everyone in awe. Goo Goo Girl became known for her inventive skills, creating gadgets that helped the villagers with everyday tasks. She even built a small glowing beacon for the town square, inspired by the lanterns, which reminded everyone of the importance of sticking together and finding their way home. One quiet evening, as they sat together in their room, Gaby Girl looked up from her notebook. "Do you think the keeper misses us?" Goo Goo Girl smiled. "If it does, maybe we'll see it again someday." As the sisters fell asleep, dreaming of glowing forests and whispered riddles, the lantern in their treehouse flickered faintly, as though echoing their thoughts. Deep in the lost woods, the keeper watched over the lanterns, their soft glow reflecting the memories of two sisters who had proven that no challenge was too great when faced together. And though the forest lay quiet, it waited patiently, knowing that one day the lanterns might guide someone else who needed to find their way home. A month after their journey, life in the village had settled back into its usual rhythm, but the sisters were far from unchanged. Gaby Girl, now brimming with newfound confidence, had become a quiet leader among the children of the village. She organized treasure hunts inspired by their time in the lost woods, using glowing stones and handmade riddles to challenge her friends. One sunny afternoon, a group of kids gathered under the big oak tree as Gaby Girl explained the rules. "Remember," she said, holding up a small handmade lantern she'd crafted from paper and string, "this is your guiding light. Follow the clues and you'll find the treasure. But be careful. The forest loves to test those who enter." Her friends giggled, eagerly clutching their maps. Gaby Girl watched them set off, her heart swelling with pride. She had always written about heroes, but for the first time, she felt like one herself. Meanwhile, Goo Goo Girl had thrown herself into her inventions with a renewed sense of purpose. She spent hours in her workshop, inspired by the challenges they'd faced in the forest. Her newest creation was a device she called the memory catcher. It was shaped like a small, glowing orb and designed to store recordings of people's favourite moments. She imagined it could help villagers preserve their happiest memories, much like the lanterns in the lost woods. One evening, as the sisters sat together under the stars, Gaby Girl asked, "Do you think the forest is still out there, waiting for someone else?" "Probably," Goo Goo Girl replied, leaning back against the tree trunk. "It's like the keeper said, those lanterns hold more than just memories. They're there to help people find themselves." Gaby Girl was quiet for a moment, then said, "I hope whoever finds it next is ready. It's not easy, but it's worth it." That night, the sisters dreamed of the forest. Gaby Girl saw herself walking through the twisting trees, her notebook glowing like a lantern. In her dream, she met a little girl who was crying and handed her a lantern. The girl's tears dried, and she smiled, her path lit before her. Goo Goo Girl's dream was different. She was back in the maze of mirrors, but this time, instead of mocking reflections, she saw glowing versions of herself, encouraging her to keep going. When she woke, the dreams lingered in her mind. Over time, strange things began happening in the village. A faint glow would sometimes appear in the fields at night, similar to the lanterns they had followed. Farmers reported hearing soft whispers in the wind, and children claimed to see flickers of light in the woods. Though no one else ventured far enough to confirm it, Gaby Girl and Goo Goo Girl both knew the magic of the lost woods hadn't completely left. One evening, as they were heading home from town, a group of younger children ran up to them, clutching what looked like a tiny glowing seed. "We found this near the edge of the forest," one of the children exclaimed. "It was just lying there." The sisters exchanged a look, both feeling the familiar pull of curiosity. Goo Goo Girl crouched to examine the seed. It was warm to the touch, and as her fingers brushed it, a faint hum vibrated through her. "This feels like the lanterns," she said softly. "It's part of the forest," Gaby Girl whispered. "Maybe it's reaching out." That night, they placed the seed in a small pot in their workshop, watering it gently and placing it near the lantern they had brought home. To their amazement, the seed began to grow almost instantly, sprouting glowing leaves that pulsed with soft light. Gaby Girl leaned in, fascinated. "What do you think it's trying to tell us?" "Maybe it's a message," Goo Goo Girl said. "Or a gift." As the glowing plant grew, the sisters noticed that its light seemed to change based on their emotions. When they were happy, it shone brightly. When they argued, it dimmed. One evening, after a particularly frustrating day of experimenting, Goo Goo Girl slumped into a chair, her face in her hands. "I can't figure this out," she muttered. "It's like the plant has a mind of its own." Gaby Girl sat beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Maybe it's not about figuring it out. Maybe it's about listening." The sisters sat quietly, watching the plant's glow steady and brighten. Gaby Girl opened her notebook, jotting down observations. "The forest didn't give us easy answers," she said thoughtfully. "It gave us challenges so we could find our own way." Inspired by her words, Goo Goo Girl decided to create something new, an invention that could channel the plant's energy into a beacon of light. If the forest's magic was still out there, maybe it could help others find their way, just as the lanterns had guided them. As Goo Goo Girl worked late into the night, Gaby Girl stayed by her side, sketching ideas for stories inspired by the glowing plant. Together, they imagined what it would be like if the forest chose new travelers to guide. Who would they be? What challenges would they face? And would they too learn the power of resilience and love? Weeks turned into months, and the sisters' lives continued to bloom, just like the glowing plant in their workshop. The tree house became a haven, not just for them, but for their friends and neighbours, who came to admire the lantern and hear Gaby Girl's stories. Goo Goo Girl's inventions brought light and joy to the village, and her memory catcher became a treasured tool for preserving precious moments. One day, as they were tending to the glowing plant, it emitted a soft pulse of light that filled the room. The sisters froze, their eyes widening as the light seemed to form an image, a faint outline of the keeper. Its voice echoed softly in their minds. "Thank you for carrying the light forward," it said. "The forest is proud." As quickly as it had appeared, the image faded, leaving the sisters staring at each other in awe. Gaby Girl was the first to speak. "Do you think it's watching us?" "Maybe," Goo Goo Girl said with a smile. "Or maybe it's just reminding us that we're never truly alone." From that day on, the sisters continued to share the magic of the forest in their own unique ways. Gaby Girl's stories inspired courage and imagination in the village children, while Goo Goo Girl's inventions brought light and comfort to those in need. And though they never returned to the lost woods, they carried its lessons in their hearts, knowing that home wasn't just a place, it was the bond they shared and the light they carried together. As the seasons changed, the glowing plant in their workshop blossomed into a radiant flower, its light shining brightly enough to be seen from the edge of the woods. The sisters often wondered if the lanterns were still out there, guiding someone else on their journey. And though they didn't have all the answers, they knew one thing for certain: the magic of the lost woods would never truly fade, as long as its light was carried forward. Remember, the journey home is as important as the destination. It's where courage, creativity, and love shine brightest. If this story warmed your heart, like and share it with someone who could use a little magic today, and stay tuned for more heartwarming tales.